Hey, Ronnie, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
I'm in one piece, Finlay. Great to see you. Thanks for
That's a good start. That's a good start.
It is, eh?
Listen, we've done well. It's not been quite so long since we recorded the last episode.
December.
It's a slightly better
November.
frequency than we maybe did through 2025. So here we are. I think we can still say it's early 26, and all ready for another episode of Life in the Brand Lane.
Right, where did we get that? Eh? But
Yeah, it took us years to work that one out.
Eagles have sold the most records in the history of mankind. The greatest hits, I believe. We'll get there.
Yeah. That's like overtaken Michael Jackson.
Thriller's number 2.
And
funnily enough, Hotel California is number 3.
That's not bad, is it?
Aye.
When you look at that. A bit good for the bank balance, I would have thought as well.
Don Henley's looking well. Aye. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's nice just to kind of break in gently, isn't it? So before we get to, we were talking about storytelling, and I think we realised that in this new age of AI and the robots taking over, that we strongly believe that humans, human intellect, emotion, and storytelling, which is ancient. I think we got to talk about storytelling, saber-toothed tigers in caves. You got it right. There's the wee somebody.
Yeah. And
we thought, actually, you know what? That's what we should all be getting better at as humans.
Might be a good idea.
We are naturally, but to maybe be more explicit about it. So we thought, you know what? Maybe there's another episode in taking storytelling a little bit further. So this is when I put you under pressure and go, right, so what have you been thinking about?
Storytelling. Yeah. The thing that came to mind when you said you want to do another podcast, and I was talking about this at the uni, was the storytelling is wonderful, and it can be compelling, and your brand engagement, all of these types of things, and meaning transfer. But you still have the major stumbling block of how do you get, and we echoed into it a wee bit, how do you get the audience's attention? Because without the attention, because, I mean, it's always been difficult, but the amount of noise, and they call it clutter, in terms of, curated content and or product placement and or, nudging or whatever it might be on, it's huge. So most of the user consumer energy goes into ad avoidance as opposed to ad engagement. You're leaning out as opposed to leaning in. And what I've been doing is kind of looking a wee bit, okay, let's go a wee bit old school David Ogilvy. We talk about Rory, and Rory's Ogilvy now.
Rory Sutherland, yeah.
Rory Sutherland. So, Ogilvy's big idea. Unless your advertising has a big idea, then it will pass like a ship in the night. And he kind of talks about the number of ads with a big idea is almost nada. Most of it's slop. Most of it's poor. So the notion of how do you, and it links to what we're talking about, how do you break through to get the attention so much so that then the audience leans into, is seduced by, is then engaged with branded content, that it begins to occupy, concretize in terms of brand awareness, all of that type of stuff, leading to choice. Where the problem, and then the storytelling is a wonderful device.
Right.
But you need the James Bond almost montage at the start of the film to get them to say, okay, now I'm going to watch the rest of the movie. So how do you get the attention of the audience? And I think you're back to, okay, there's shock, there's humor, there's semiotics, there's design, but you're back to a human creative idea, big idea, that some way stands above or opposed to or around the clutter, so that, hey, you have my attention. Now, Hegarty was good at this, the zig, the zag, the black sheep. Why is the Audi in German, why is the tagline in German? so that they don't understand it back then, so that, there's attention. And then there's cognitive and emotional lifting. And then suddenly those brands exist. And those are the brands that you would buy. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about attention and sensory receptors.
You've got to break through that clutter, that noise. We're not the only people talking about storytelling, but how do you get people to open the book or watch the movie or select it on Netflix or just look at your advert, listen to your advert?
Yeah.
And you talk about Ogilvy, that's going back. But somewhere deep in the recess of the memory and some advertising course back in the late 1980s, right?
Let's go
AIDA.
It came up,
Is that Lewis? You can tell me.
That's, all of those kind of hierarchy of effects, classically from sales. It's in the movie Glenn.
Right.
Glenn Ross, Alec Baldwin. I actually showed the students a kind of censored version, A, B, C, always be closing. Do I have your attention? I know that I do, because if, you're fired. And then the issue with all of that, and it's wonderful stuff, is it's a lot of it is assumes a linearity and a logic and a rational mind. Nonetheless, the contribution is perhaps at the front end in terms of you must get the audience's attention. Like playing a gig, back in the day, we would think about, what's the opening 3 songs? And in particular, that there's a number of things going on. There's internal stuff like that'll help you settle down because we know those 3.
Right.
So then you hopefully start to get in the zone. But how do you establish the attention and the rapport with the audience so much so that they're going to go with you for the rest of the
not
set?
Just go to the bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the James Bond thing, the movie before the movie, and of course Spielberg stole it with Raiders of the Lost Ark. You see it everywhere now. It's the same thing. It's to transport you in. And, traveling and talking with Theo, I was in Copenhagen at the weekend. For once, it was a holiday weekend. And we went to, let me see here. It's hard to say, Glyptoteket.
Right.
Which immediately, what's that?
Okay.
Right. And then there's always alcohol references. The founding father of Carlsberg, his son was an art enthusiast, and he would buy, to begin with, loads of sculptures, but he had a very big passion for Egyptian artifacts. And he had, Carlsberg, probably the best lager in the world.
And we all
remember that, right? Why do we remember that? Successful. So he buys into this notion of that, he loves art and Rodin and sculpture and all the rest of it, the Egyptian stuff. And ultimately he sets up a museum, the Glyptoteket. Now, but it comes from Egyptian, meaning sculpture and place for it to be stored and seen. So you immediately have my attention because the name is exotic. So we go. Formidable building. Okay, I'm there, the kids, everything, I'm distracted. I'm in one point of feeling and thinking, yada, we go in, and it's freezing outside. Snow, Copenhagen, minus whatever. We go in, and then you enter into this, there's a vestibule, but then you enter into the winter garden. There are palm trees.
Oh, wow.
And it's completely glass. The temperature jumps, right? And suddenly I noticed, and we can talk about sensory stuff with advertising and so on, that they're playing a game. There's a lot of thought into it. You're transported to somewhere else, and suddenly you're present. Okay, we talked about experience, but it's the same thing. And then an interesting thing happened. The son said, can we go see the Egyptian stuff? And I said, sure. Right, and they have mummies and right, and so we go down, we follow the sign, and then there's this cascading long step sequence to the mummy's tomb or crypt. The lights are off, and there's just these wee light bars on the thing, and hers, he turns around, it's a wee bit scary, and I said, I'll be all right. By the time we got to the bottom of the stairs, I was feared myself, right? But you're paying attention, and all they've done is to play with one sensory receptor, so you have a heightened experience. And I talked about it in the lecture. There was a restaurant in Berlin where they blindfold you, so you can't see, you don't know what you're eating, but meaningful, memorable attention, and so on. So the museum, it struck me, and there's loads of things that I picked up, but the moving you, or they moved me away from being in the future and the past to be present and participating and thinking and feeling. It had my undivided attention. And you're immediately saying, we're going to come back,
right?
brand loyalty, right? Because we've not seen it all, right? And all of those values, you're already planning the next trip. You're already buying the next cup of coffee. You're already da-da-da-da-da. So as classic sort of device, doesn't have to be something incredibly exotic. Might be mundane, the Lynx effect. They've got a scratch and sniff poster. They're getting us to try smelly stuff down here, and there's humor. It's a wee bit vulgar. There's a huge billboard. The guy smelling the crotch of the other guy, and it's shock and da-da-da. Same thing. Playing the sensory receptors, attachment to it. Carlsberg had a poster where you could pour pints of Carlsberg. So the experiential aspect, the participatory aspect of the advertising accelerates attention and then engagement. And the other thing would be, Rory, we talked about Gabor Mate, another field, but you're a feeling machine before you're a thinking machine. And people buy feelings, not things. So if the advertising, communication, whatever it is, can, I would say, go against, you talked about AIDA, thinking, feeling, doing, I would put the feeling higher up the hierarchy and say it's much, much more important. Yeah.
Coming back to the stories about the saber-toothed tiger, it was, there's all those very important emotions in there, fear, excitement, and so on. Those are the drivers.
The dominant.
You made the good point that actually those stories may not even have been based around language, right? In the early days, and that's deep within us. So.
Sure.
Listen, I'll get a chance. I know it's not our book club, but I got this for my Christmas and read it really quickly. I'm going to lend it to you, but that means that you give me it back, right?
I don't
I've got someone else that wants to read it. That's why I really make that point. So, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Gaida, I think it is.
I've heard of him.
Have you? Right. Yeah. Okay. So, a restaurateur.
Yeah. Benchmarking.
So 11 Madison Park, it became number one restaurant in the world. But I've introduced that now because there's so much of that is relevant, because what he realized, so he was the front of house guy.
Yeah.
And I think he had his business partner was Daniel, who was an amazing chef, right? Who cooked obviously at a very high level. They became the best in the world.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say he was the first person to realize this, but he wanted to be able to match the experience in the restaurant with what was coming out of the kitchen. So he put as much emphasis on the team, the hospitality team, the restaurant team. I can't remember exactly the term they use. And it's almost Disney-esque level of performance and experience.
Yeah.
So it's hopefully it connects with what you're saying. So
it does.
When you go to spend a fortune on a meal, it's so much more than just the food that you're eating.
Yeah, you're not buying a meal.
He goes into great detail. I definitely recommend people reading it from the very first contact through booking and then arrival and then departure.
Yeah, the journey and the touch points, the sweet.
How they give you your
yeah.
coat, the thought,
For
you know,
sure.
at the end of the meal.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, they have these kind of little surprises. You know, it almost gets a little bit gimmicky for me. It's
Okay.
like, you know, running across out to Madison Square to buy a hot dog and bring the hot dog back onto the plate for these people who had their
Interesting.
first date and
Yeah.
had a hot dog on a bench, right?
I don't like hot dogs, but that's okay.
They reckoned it was the best, you know, world famous hot dog stall
Aye.
on Madison Square
I'm with
Gardens.
you. I'm with you.
So, you know, I think that's why they got to where they were. You know, the critics eventually came with them. It took them a little bit of time.
Things do.
For
Yeah.
the, you know, a restaurant critic was like, no, it's just what you put on the plate, and does that look good? So Will kind of expanded that
Sure.
that thinking a little bit.
I mean, I love it. If I might be mistaken, there's several things that come to mind, and you might want to show it again. But how if you take the book cover,
I'll just show that there. And we could
Unreasonable.
put this in the show notes. So make sure
Yeah.
we do that. Yeah.
and he can give us some commission later.
Yes.
But it's very much. I mean, I think it was last year, and you shared it with me. There was a Harrison Ford campaign for Glen Morangi.
Yeah.
And they did the Glen Morangi.
Mm-hmm.
Simply by signaling the title, the brand name differently,
Mm-hmm.
it requires attention, because the human condition is all about putting things into recognizable, neat patterns. So what does that say? So I'm going to read it. Glyptotekit is one, but it's exotic, different language. It's a hybrid thing he's made up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the same thing. So immediately there's let's call it devices, maybe trickology in terms of why we should read the title. The story is very interesting. I think it's the guy who, in terms of benchmarking, and they went out and they looked at all the other restaurants, and they've got a sliding scale of multiple brand experience dimensions, the food and the plate, the lighting, and he said, no, we're not going to beat the other guys and all the things they're already doing at 10 and above on, right? Let's look at what we can do that is different, break away from the clutter, from the noise. I think he concentrated in coffee and beer.
Yeah, that's right.
To begin with, as sort of standouts, because everyone else was, well,
It's wine. Everyone's done wine, and
Right.
No,
So, in as much as these things are often overused, he's then differentiating based on things that they were excellent or could become more excellent than others at, because the food's already good, and suddenly you're standing out from the clutter. The notion of I know I go on about it, but it's all there. The think different, the Apple stuff, and so on. All of that disassociates from the mediocrity of everything else. If it is different, if it is unique, if it is singular, then maybe it deserves some attention. Again, so it's different means to the same ends. How do you do that over time is challenging. And I was looking at sort of, it's almost like an MRI scan of brain activity, and they did this in, I think it was in either Hamburg or Germany, like 12 years ago, and they primed 25 users relating to Samsung and Apple. And what is interesting, okay, it's not a conclusive study, it's a small sample, right? But you can project with it that the brain activity when they are asked to talk about and discuss Apple lights up the same as it would when you're talking about another human being, a person.
Well, that's interesting, yeah.
So it's kind of over here.
I see.
It's emotional. When they're asked about Samsung and to discuss Samsung, they think of Samsung as a thing.
Right.
And there's less activity, it's less exciting, and all the rest of it. So over time, jobs, the campaigns, the 1984, we'll not retread it too much.
Yeah.
It's to get you to interact and respond to the thing. The brand personality, all it's sometimes done poorly. They did it really well in a human way, so that the attachment is emotional. You mentioned, attention to detail, how they come and put your coat on, how someone opens the door at the end. The next time comes to book the restaurant, where do you go? You go back.
Yeah.
You'll remember Don Bathy.
If you can afford it.
If you can
more
afford
than
it.
once a month or once a year or once a lifetime. Yeah.
You remember Don Bathy from Stirling. I remember one of the lectures he talked about, he was a consultant also, and he would take potential clients, existing clients, to the same restaurant every time because of the consistency of experience. And the waitress was fantastic, and you get the same table and invariably it was always a successful exchange. And he went this time, they had a different waitress. The only time they didn't get the client. Now, was it because of
interesting correlation?
But he's making an interesting point.
Yeah.
If that guy if they don't put your coat on, if they don't hold eventually, then you start to pay attention to the restaurant across the street.
Yeah, of course.
Or you say, that hot dog that they brought in was actually quite good, and we paid $100 for it. It's $2 if we go outside, and then you're thinking about other choice alternative. So to maintain, they talk about engagement, but I think to keep attention, and then from the attention to get you to think and particularly feel in a different way about it over time. And we were talking about guitar brands and Gibson and amps and Marshall and it's all the same thing. What's this? I mean, I've no idea.
Tinderbox out of the railway station, but a good local sort of brand with
I know it now that you tell me and we see it and I remember we've been, but I would peripherally know if it's I thought it was Costa, but then I see it slightly off.
Yeah.
But you would definitely know the Mermaid, and if it was Starbucks, and so a lot of the actual consumption is about reinforcing, reminding, recognition, feel this particular way. So, and then you can have a nice story, the share a Coke with your name on it, or whatever, or the coffee with your name on it, and so on.
It has to be, the other fundamentals have to be in place, and it's taken us 20, 30 minutes to mention Coke. That's one of our kind of go-to case studies, isn't it? But just to reinforce your point about the Apple Samsung, I've seen a very similar study done with Coke against Pepsi.
Same thing
with the brain scanning. I'm not sure if they went to as far as to say this is the same emotional response as a friend or a human, but that's what they're trying to do.
Well, it's everything is perception. There's sensation, but then you have to codify and attach meaning to it, perceive things. And that's where the brand has some very interesting, you have to be careful with the ethics of it, but there's a lot going on to program the audience to look and feel and think in this way about this artifact. It's the same thing as the other artifact. Coke's the same as Pep. Okay, there's a flavour. Most of the differentiation.
People prefer Pepsi. That's part of that study. That tastes better. But here's the emotional reaction to the brand.
But one is maybe still a thing, and the other is
that connection.
Yeah. So I mean, it's simple but complex.
And I think that's a nice summary. I'm going to put you under pressure again, and I think this piece when we say, right, this is great. We understand, and if you're working with Rory Sutherland or Ogilvy, and great, and these big brands and like Apple, Samsung, Coke, Pepsi,
for sure.
But what is the advice then for the SME? Obviously, come on the storytelling course that we're going to get to market eventually this year.
Theo's going to write it.
Theo's going to write it. Theo's off camera.
Theo's off camera. Yeah.
But is it as simple as that? And to give you a little bit more thinking time, what I've seen recently is people seeking attention.
Yeah.
But they're just going for the kind of shock factor.
Yeah.
To go, slap, stop, watch this, and then now and then it's straight to sale.
It's a good question. Good observation.
Listen, to create content these days, it's achievable, and so on for the SMEs, the small, medium-sized enterprises.
Yeah.
Does this theory, does it translate to them?
Aye, there's a number of things. I mean, I was thinking about, examples and driving in, the Red Bull out of atmosphere jump. I mean, I don't know how much that cost, but it had the world's attention, right? But so budget, spectacle, seismic event. We talked about Coke. Makes a lot, money. Maybe Interbrands is number 7 brand, but 2/3 goes back into, right? So this notion of brand prominence, and I'll get to the SME, but some brands are loud and shocking, but and you might grab a level of attention that exists to, okay, I'm going to look at it, but then they lean back, they resist because it's a cheap shot, it's not curated very well, it's not a big idea, it's a small idea. It's not even an idea. It's a Me Too idea. It's somebody else's idea, whatever. So confident brands maybe will not necessarily use shock, but there'll be a creative idea that grabs attention that is an invitation to unravel, explore the brand a wee bit further. Now, the last time we did the podcast, you and I, and it's kind of like playing a gig. You're a wee bit buzzing after it. And, well, gigs you were buzzing for all sorts of reasons. But we walked to it and we said, there was maybe 30 taxis. And they all looked the same. Now, if there'd been a New York cab taxi, a yellow cab, right? Okay, maybe that costs a wee bit more money. It'd be the taxi you would want to get in, because boom, you have my attention. There's novelty, right? It's different. There's memory. Oh, it reminds me of the time when we were or even Chicago or whatever it is. Now, they all look the same. So it's different. Doesn't matter what cab you get. The window cleaners, it's all in the, I don't know, it used to be the Thompson directory or recall it. All looks the same. The same thing. The ones that start to maybe use creative devices, and a creative idea is a human thing that you don't need a huge budget for that. You just need to have a creative idea. Are you going to buy advertising space? That's expensive, but then can you have a YouTube channel? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Yeah, I mean, these things are accessible. And then if you grab attention, then it becomes a talking piece. Then it's shared there. Then it's da-da-da-da-da. So I don't think it's restricted in any way to, budget and so on. Yes, there's brilliant minds at Ogilvy or BBH and, all of these types of things. But more often than not, and you start to think about creative agencies and you start to think about brands, and we've talked about this, brands are really people or people behind the brands. Now, what happens is that the coffee cup is this one, no disrespect to Tinderbox, like the brand. It's the same size, shape, da-da-da-da-da. Red Bull comes along and it's a bold statement. Here's a tall can, 3 times the price. No one likes the taste, right? And you're going to drink it falling down a mountain, but it's going to give you wings and away attention. And there's other stories to it, but to be different enough, and think about it's a bigger company. We've talked about it before. But vodka was Russian, absolute, the bottle, the semiotic, and then creative campaign to move the semiotic into different cultural contexts to make it relevant, psychic distance. Oh, let's try this. Oh, it's actually very good. Establishes the thing. So I don't think that you need to, it has to be an established brand. You know, when we're talking about music earlier, anyone who breaks through, and you know, I watched that Dylan film. What's the young guy? Theo will know his name. Chalamet. He played Dylan, and it's interesting. The criticism is at the end of the movie, and he's established. He's playing the folk songs, wonderful, poetic. But then at this folk festival, he wants to go electric. He wants to play rock and roll.
Didn't go down so well, did it?
Right. But he does it. And okay, there's negative audience attention there, but then later it's accepted and it's celebrated and it's loved by the audiences. So to be bold and to have a discreet stance, Tarantino, Kill Bill is their same thing. Reservoir Dogs, band, notoriety, attention, punk, all of the books, you know, Kaiser Sose here, all of that type of stuff, right? In terms of, right, standing above the slop. Now, the slop is easy to do. It's cheaper because somebody's already done it. You know, walking through the airport and I've got the students looking at perfume Chanel. And so, and everything's an imitation of Chanel except Good Girl. And it's a highly provocative image. I sent it to you, all right? But there's multiple layers and they've paid for the merchandising. It's standing above everything and it's Good Girl. There's a number of things. It's good to be bad, multiple selves. And it's also, if you look at it, the two O's and the good, it's Chanel. They've stolen it from Chanel, standing on top of it, and it's very provocative. I'm not saying I'm a fan. However, it's just outsold Chanel first time.
I didn't know that.
10-year-old brand.
Right. Wow.
Attention and social networking.
I think those consumer-facing brands and the entertainment brands that you came back to, they are. It's maybe easy to understand, but it was interesting that you used a couple of examples that are not wanting to be unkind, slightly more mundane services. Not quite B2B, but they can be, obviously, you know, in taxis and window cleaning. And I think you probably use them to exaggerate your point. But that these this thinking still works in those or in an industrial B2B context.
For sure. You know, that's Apple. Apple was the thing. Apple was the computer. It's an industrial product. We talked about it. So you had to change the perception and make it an individual end user accessory tool that brings value, not only in terms of now connectivity and platforms. It was a fashion accessory. It was a brand constellation. It went with the Nikes and the tag, and it was you're building back in the day personality and identity in established hierarchies, tribes, and so on. So I mean, Apple did the same thing. The taxi drive is only mundane because the audience perceives it. At the minute, perhaps, no harm to the taxi guys to be mundane. It's just about going from A to B. But I do remember being in Chicago, and Gus and I, you then, it was kind of unique and novel. It was the same price. You can get a limo. And you'd be served champagne in the back of the limo. And not to go too far in it, but I do remember drinking champagne with the roof. We are actually standing up at the roof. I don't know if you could do that anymore. And drinking a glass of champagne. So it was a memory. It's an experience. It moved you from A to B. Let's do that again sometime. And I mean, you know, air travel. Look at what they're all doing the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. You know, that book will do the same as another book, as the coffee does the same as another. So, but the perception of it and the emotional connection to it has to be different.
Yeah, I had a good example actually during the week. Not wanting to give you the whole backstory,
Well,
but we had a puncture. No, it's Monday.
All right.
A puncture on what was already a courtesy car because the car's in at the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, not quite the Thomson directory, the Yellow Pages, right? Go and get the tire fixed and so on. And my wife said, there's a guy who can come to the house to do it.
What's this guy's name?
So the tire soldier. There we go.
There you
another
go.
bit of commission for us coming up.
Yeah.
And tire soldier, you've got to give him some guidance on what the tire.
Sure.
He's not got a whole stock, but long wheelbase truck that he's got comes and tries to repair, does the changeover on your driveway.
Wonderful.
Sends you a link to pay by, and so he's probably copied that model from someone else. I don't know. It's the first time I've experienced that.
It's a good name.
And so for me, he'd almost completely changed the service, but certainly elevated it.
Yeah.
In quite a simple. Well, fundamentally, he's doing the same thing, but it's the place, which is I was working from home.
Yeah.
Saved me probably a couple of hours away and waiting and all that.
Time and energy, feeling.
Yeah.
Brought it to mind. You're telling the story.
Yeah.
I can get, I think it's wonderful. I gave you another tire story. We're talking about Lamborghinis the last time.
Indeed,
and so my friend Derek, who used to sell me cars, of course, Derek's got a Lamborghini.
Right.
It's not a Countach, it's a Hurricane. Bright orange, everything. He brought it to let the kids see it and da-da-da. Very impressive. And then Derek's laying off. I mean, I don't know how he feels about potholes, right? But anyway, he's telling this story. And these things that are 100,000 plus more can be an investment. You get
it right,
Humans are emotional. You buy it, you don't drive it, so there's no miles, so you can resell it. But nonetheless, he gets a flat tire.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no spare tire with a Lamborghini.
No.
He phones Lamborghini. They pick up on not even the first ring. It's, hello? Lamborghini, da-da-da-da-da, Derek, flat tire. He said, sit where you are. We're sending somebody to you right now. Derek actually thought we were going to send a helicopter. In no time at all, the troops turn up, and it's fine. We're going to take so they take him to Lamborghini headquarters. He walks in. He's treated like James Bond. We've been expecting you. The flat tire turns into an opportunity to make the brand even better. Mm-hmm. He's not pissed off. He's happy. Mm. Wait a minute, opportunity recognition as opposed to problem recognition. Mm. He's surrounded by very nice people. He has a meal. If the Lambo is not fixed by well, if it's okay with your schedule, 5-star hotel, and I hope it's not fixed. It's here it is, and it's fixed, and it's ready to go, and we've filled it up for you. Flat tire.
Yeah.
Perception.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can get another flat tire on the way home, right? This is you take the thing, the tire soldier. It's exactly the same thing. Okay, it's done in a more elaborate, way. It's the same thing that you then feel differently about it. The other thing about the tire soldier, this happened to me last night, the old TT, and it's been great. And the flat battery, I phoned Colin. He looks after the car. Fine, Ron, I'll fix it. Kind of like the lawyer, or when I used to, Nigel. It's like, it's fine. He's very kind. I'll deal with it. Okay. So then you're free. You're lighter. You can do your work at home. What are you buying? Are you buying the tire, or are you buying the time? And you've seen me maybe try to change the tire. I mean, it's And
that it's just a great reminder, isn't it, about value proposition.
What's the value?
What you're selling. And although we use Lamborghini again as the reference point, it's like, flat tire. Is that your business or something like that?
Is it somebody else's business?
No, that's brilliant
advice.
advice.
What are you buying? That designer suit? Is it confidence you're buying? Is it a feeling that you're buying that you want to transform who you are? Is it some kind of signaling that you want from that? A lot of the value is the world out with, the world within. It's internal. It's a construct, a series of constructs with multiple touch points. Tom Ford knew this. Mm-hmm. Has to work, has to be robust, has to look good, must make you feel several particular ways. Mm-hmm. Because somebody else can make it and it can be robust and da-da-da, but can they make you feel how Tom Ford makes you feel? Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Tom has, of course, gone from Tom Ford to try, right? The audience, it looks and it feels, it's the same as it was. It's no innovated, pardon me. Tom's not there. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's moving into Samsung, pardon me, Samsung territory from the Apple thing. They're losing the feeling. Tom's no longer there. Apple might be, they have gone through similar stuff. Steve's no longer there. But what are you buying? And I think a lot of the time, see, the tire guy understands the start of the game is that, I've got a tire and I can fix it for you. But all of the other values are much more sophisticated, and he knows that. Mm-hmm. And the other guy's selling tires at Quick Fit where you kind of get in and you park and and you go in and you wait. They don't know that. No. They're thinking they sell tires.
In the old model.
It's an old paradigm. So you deal with all that hassle and all that frustration and all that time and all that energy, and then you give us your money. Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to phone this guy. Yeah. It's different. Yeah.
No, it's a nice way of.
I get excited. You can get excited about tires.
You can get excited.
Sharon Stone made Pirelli tires. Pirelli tried to, the tires are no sexy, Basic Instinct, brand ambassador Sharon Stone, or the Carrera guys. The Pirelli tire. No, get the Pirelli tires.
Listen, I think we could do a whole episode just on tires.
Sharon Stone.
Window cleaning and taxis. That's really good because it does, no pun intended, totally grounded. Us a little bit. I think
pull us back.
Listen, I think if people listen to these episodes, go and read those books we talk about. Go and follow those authors and so on. You can learn a heck of a lot.
And I think we're going to write a book from the transcripts of the podcast and so on. And there's a publisher.
And we'll get this short course out there as well.
CEO's frantically taking notes. I can see him. I can see him there. But I think there's a lot of, the name of our company, fresh thinking, fresh approach, all of those things. And we did a podcast, a review where we did that projective technique, songs or music that you felt reflected the brand persona of Fresh. Mm-hmm. And I talked about Eddie Van Halen. We shared stuff. But it was so different. It was so new. It was Eruption. Mm-hmm. And it's just so bold. Okay. It's easy to see it in hindsight. There's no guarantee it's going to be successful. But all of the things we talk about, he did that. Mm-hmm. And okay, that's a guitar solo. And then we were talking earlier, you listen to music now, and it's auto-tuned and whatever. It's not even human, right? But everybody's doing that. Somebody, and Kurt Cobain with grunge, there are these seismic shifts where guys position themselves against what has become the diluted sameness of the same, and the next superhero movie and whatever it is. And suddenly that's a jolt and an invitation to feel something new and fresh that suddenly brings, okay, this is interesting, this is value. He's always back to value.
You're always back to Eddie Van Halen.
I'm always back to Eddie Van Halen. Aye. But, and I think, and why no? He deserves it. Thinking of, you could say there were heritage brands like Chanel. I talked about it with the Number 5 campaign, but Margot Robbie's there. So there's contemporary and emergent riffs, as well as legacy and authenticity and heritage and history. So the attention, and there's Daft Punk, and the attention is all about the audience knows all of those things. So advertising is sometimes about reflecting. So you're reflecting quietly. You talked about shock and so. This is quiet and confident, and there's ambience and mood and storytelling and all of this stuff. But you're leaning into it,
right,
and you've got all of these layers, multiple dimensions of value. This is a thing that's smelly stuff, right? Chanel understands. And I said to the students, Chanel's over 100 years old. You look at the good girl stuff's provocative, it's bold, it's also a wee bit vulgar perhaps, and Will good girl be here in 100?
110 years, yeah. No, that's not.
Probably not.
Oh.
With Chanel, probably yes.
So listen, I said we were going to do an episode just on tires, taxis, and window cleaning, but I've changed my mind. Let's go back to the studio.
Right.
Let's get some of the old vinyl out.
Get the records out.
Do another music one. Listen, Ronnie, thanks again for coming in and talking to us.
Oh, thank you, Finlay.
This will be people can go and find us at fresh.biz, fresh.com, and on YouTube. We'll publish this up there.
And give me the tire soldier.
Yeah.
We'll soldier connotation.
We'll put that in the show notes as well. So,
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.